My fiancé said, "You made me look insane." I replied, "I stopped covering it, then I canceled the wedding, collected screenshots, sat across from her in court, and I just smiled because her loyalty test was about to blow up her life." Original post, I am 33. My ex-fiancée, Fiona, is 31. We were together just over 3 years. No kids, we live in a mid-sized city. I work as an IT project manager for a consulting firm. Fiona works in HR at a software company. We met at a happy hour my team hosted. She was there because her company shared the building. We started talking about bad office coffee and stayed until the bar closed. That was 3 years ago. We moved in together after a year, got engaged last fall, and started planning a small spring wedding. On paper, everything looked good. We had a shared budget sheet, a guest list, a simple venue with a courtyard. Fiona was organized. She liked spreadsheets and checklists. I liked that she took the planning stress off my shoulders. For a while, it felt like we were just moving forward step by step. The first odd thing started about 2 months before the wedding. Fiona became clingy about my phone, not in a loud way, more small questions. "If Beth wears that dress, you better not stare. If a woman at work flirted with you, would you tell me or hide it?" She said it like a joke. Her eyes did not match her tone. Beth was her best friend and maid of honor. Loud, social, used to attention. I never saw her that way. She was just my fiancé's best friend. She had a fiancé of her own, Mark. We did a couple of double dates, nothing strange. Then Beth started texting me late. It began with wedding errands. "Hey, Fiona asked if you can send the deposit. Or can you remind her to bring her measurements?" Normal stuff. Then one night I got a text at 11:47 p.m. "You know, you're the best guy I've ever met." A minute later. "Don't tell Fiona I said that." I stared at the screen. My first reaction was not anger. It was a cold, flat feeling in my chest. Something clicked in my head. I did not answer. I just set the phone down, turned the screen off, and sat in the dark for a while. The next morning, while Fiona was in the shower, I opened our shared tablet. It was still logged into her messages. I know that is not ideal. I also knew something was wrong. I went to her chat with Beth. Near the top, I saw my name. Then I read, "Fiona, I just want to know if he would ever cheat." Fiona again, "Can you test him a little, see how he reacts?" Beth, "Sure, I'll see what he does." My stomach dropped, but my hand stayed steady. I took screenshots, sent them to my work email. Then I locked the tablet and put it back where I found it. I did not confront her that morning. I did not slam doors. My first action was quiet. At work that day, I looked up our state laws on engagement rings, conditional gifts, fault, canceled weddings. I started a folder on my laptop and named it Wedding Paperwork. I placed the screenshots inside. Update 1, for the next few days, I played dumb. Fiona was tense but tried to act normal. Beth kept sending short, awkward texts about wedding logistics. I waited. I wanted the pattern to be clear and obvious, not just one late-night message. 3 nights later, Beth texted again around 10:30 p.m. "Beth, can't sleep, you awake?" I let 5 minutes pass. Then I replied, "Me. Yeah, what's up?" "Beth, just thinking about the wedding. You sure you want to marry her and not me?" It was like watching someone walk into a glass door in slow motion. I took a screenshot, then another when she followed with, "Kidding, unless you're not." That was enough. I did not start a flirt. I did not insult her. I just answered, "We should talk in person. Cafe near my office tomorrow after work." She sent back a heart emoji. The next morning, I told Fiona I had a late meeting. Then I said, "Beth texted me last night about wedding stuff. She wants to meet to talk details. You two coordinated that." I watched her face carefully. She paused only half a second, then forced a smile. "Yeah, she mentioned it. That's fine." When she left for work, I forwarded Beth's messages and the earlier screenshots to myself again, then to a cloud drive. At lunch, I bought a cheap voice recorder and slipped it into my jacket. On my way to the cafe, I texted Fiona the exact time and place I would be there. I did not give more details. Beth got there before me, short dress, full makeup. She smiled a little too wide when she saw me. "Wow, you clean up nice," she said. I sat down across from her, turned the recorder on in my pocket. "You wanted to talk about the wedding," I said. She leaned forward. "Honestly, Fiona is lucky. If I had met you first, things would be different." She touched my hand. I moved it back to my lap. Beth, I said, you know I'm marrying Fiona, she shrugged. Girls just have to know if they picked a loyal one. It's just a little test. Relax. Right then, Fiona stepped out from behind a pillar by the door. She had come in a minute after me and sat at a table behind us. She had her phone in her hand, screen lit. Her eyes were wide. Beth, she said, voice flat, what are you doing? Beth jerked around, color drained from her face. Fiona, I was just joking, she said. We were talking about Dacre and stuff. I took my phone out, opened the screenshots, placed it on the table. You both texted about testing me, I said. This is what you call Dacre. Fiona looked at the screen, then at Beth, then at me. Her lips were pressed so tight they almost disappeared. This is not what I meant, she snapped. I only asked her to see if you would flirt, not to actually do it. You are making this bigger than it is. I stayed calm. People at nearby tables glanced over, then looked away. No one yelled, no one made a scene. It was just 3 people, low voices, and a lot of tension. I did not cheat, I said. I did not flirt. I did not fail your test. You both failed mine. Fiona's eyes filled, but she did not cry. She said, you cannot call everything off over one mistake. I stood up. I am calling off the wedding, I said. I am not marrying someone who hires her best friend to seduce me to prove a point. I looked at Beth. And I am done with you speaking to me at all. Then I left the cafe. No slam of the chair, no raised voice. Just a quiet walk out the door, jacket zipped, recorder still running in my pocket. Update 2, the fallout started that night. Fiona came home around 10. She tried to talk. I said we could discuss logistics, not feelings. I slept in the guest room. The next morning, I emailed the venue, the caterer, and the photographer. I asked about cancellation terms. We lost some deposits. We saved some others. I made a list. Paid what needed paying. Then I called a lawyer. I explained the situation, showed him the screenshots and the audio recording. He listened without interrupting, then said, you did the right thing documenting this. We will need it. A week later, Fiona moved in with a coworker. She left her ring on the kitchen counter in a neat little box. That ring was not just a store purchase. It was my grandmother's ring. My father gave it to me when I told him I was going to propose. I assumed that was the end of it. I was wrong. Fiona started telling people I was paranoid and emotionally abusive. She said I trapped her and Beth. Some mutual friends pulled back without asking my side. Others texted me privately and said they were staying neutral. Then her social media posts started. Vague quotes about escaping manipulators and men who twist everything. I did not respond. I did not comment. I just kept filling my folder for my lawyer. 2 weeks after she moved out, I got a letter from her lawyer. They demanded the ring back. The letter said that since I had unilaterally canceled the wedding, the ring was her property. They also hinted at emotional damages from my public ambush at the cafe. My lawyer sent a response. He cited state law about conditional gifts. He included printed copies of the screenshots and a transcript of the recording. He argued that Fiona's actions were intentional emotional manipulation and the cause of the breakdown. While this was going on, Beth's life also cracked. Her fiancé, Mark, somehow saw one of the vague posts and asked what happened. One of our mutual friends finally sent him the screenshots. Mark broke off their engagement within a week. He messaged me once. I know we were never close, he wrote, but thank you for not hiding what they did. Beth tried to claim it was just a test, but by then the pattern looked ugly. A woman trying to seduce her best friend's fiancé as a game is not a good look. She moved out of the apartment she shared with Mark and back in with her parents for a while. Our legal issues stretched over 2 months. There were calls, letters, one formal mediation session. Fiona sat across from me in a small room with beige walls. She looked smaller than before, still neat, still put together, but tired. Her lawyer argued that recording her at the cafe without consent was unfair. My lawyer pointed out that we were in a public place. He laid out the messages, the plan to test me and the impact, lost deposits, counseling sessions I had started, extra costs for moving dates and contracts. In the end, the mediator and then the judge agreed. The ring stayed with me. There was no case for damages on her side. The court fee split was minimal. No one won in a happy way, but legally, I kept the one thing that mattered from my family. When we left the courthouse, Fiona caught up to me on the steps. You made me look insane, she said. I looked at her calm. You did that on your own, I said. I just stopped covering it. Then I walked down the stairs and into the street. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had both feet under me again. Update 3, about 3 months after the case ended, Fiona texted me. Can we talk? Just once, I owe you an apology. I stared at the message for a few minutes. Then I typed, public place only. No talk about getting back together. 1 hour. She agreed. We picked a quiet cafe in a different neighborhood than before. She arrived early. I could tell from the half-finished drink on the table. She looked thinner, dark circles under her eyes. She tried to smile. It did not reach her eyes. Thank you for coming, she said. I nodded. You said you wanted to apologize. She took a breath. I was scared, she said. My parents fought for years. My dad cheated. My mom never trusted anyone. She raised me to believe that men leave unless you keep them in line. When things got serious with you, I panicked. I thought if I tested you and you passed, I could relax. I listened. I did not argue with her history. Everyone has one. You hurt me, I said plain. You could have talked to me. You could have asked for therapy together. Instead, you brought in your best friend and asked her to try to break us. Her hands shook around her cup. I know, she said. I lost you. I lost Beth. I lost Mark as a friend. My reputation at work took a hit. I am in therapy now. I am trying to figure out why I did this. There was a pause. She looked up at me. Do you think there is any chance we could try again someday? She asked. Now that I understand what I did. The question did not sting. It landed with a dull thud. My answer had been ready for months. No, I said. My voice stayed even. I am glad you are in therapy. I hope you heal, but I will never be the person you try again with. I cannot walk back into something that felt like a trap. She swallowed hard. So that's it, she said. That's it, I replied. I stood up, nodded once as a farewell, and left. No hug, no angry words, just a clear end. Final update, it has been a little over a year now. The wedding date passed months ago. On that day, I took a day off work, turned my phone off, and drove to a state park. I walked for a few hours, ate a simple lunch on a bench, drove home. That was it. My life is smaller and quieter now. I moved to a different apartment closer to my office. I see a therapist once a month. We talk about trust, boundaries, and how to notice red flags earlier. I spend more time with my brother and his kids. Weekends are board games and cartoons instead of vendor calls and seating charts. Fiona moved to another city, according to a mutual friend. She works remote now. I do not follow her online. I muted and removed anything that put her in front of my face. It is not hate. It is just distance. Beth is almost invisible. From what I hear, she had to change friend groups and cut back on social media for a while. The loyalty test story followed her farther than she thought it would. The ring is in a safe deposit box at the bank. I visited it once 6 months after the court date. It looked small in that metal drawer, not romantic, not tragic, just metal and stone. I closed the box and left it there. The kids ask questions moment came from my 7-year-old niece. One night she sat next to me on the couch and said, "Uncle Liam, why didn't you get married?" Did the lady make you sad? I thought about it. Then I said, we found out we did not like the same kind of honesty, so we decided not to live together. She nodded as if that made sense and went back to her cartoon. Kids do not need the messy details, just simple truth. Now, when I think about Fiona, I do not feel much. No sharp anger, no heavy loss, just a memory of a life that did not happen. The worst part is over. The money I lost on deposits and lawyers is gone. The time is gone. The lesson stayed. Every so often when I clean old files on my laptop, I see that folder. Wedding paperwork. Inside it are contracts, invoices, and the screenshots that started all of this. One of them still has Beth's reply to Fiona. 4 words, "Sure, I'll see what he does." They did see what I would do. I chose myself, my peace, and my future, and then I closed the file.